Hello there, everybody. My name is Eveline Oehrlich. I am very excited to be the closing keynote for this year's DevOps Pro Europe 2020. Before we get started, I just wanted to make a big thank you. I don't know how to make a heart to all the folks here who have done a wonderful job, including the events team and the tech team, and of course, all the speakers. Unbelievable, great event. Um, the title of my uh, presentation here is, I think, quite useful for the last presentation. It's about preparing to be a DevOps human in 2020 and beyond. So let me talk a little bit about myself just quickly. I'm the research director at the DevOps Institute. I'm also an industry analyst at Research in Action, looking at a variety of vendors and comparing those. I had, before that, was a former vice president and research director at Forrester Research. If you are familiar with Forrester Research, syndicated research on a variety of topics. I led a research team of analysts and conducted research, of course, myself. Before that, I had a variety of roles. I'm actually an IT ops professional. I have done development myself also, and I'm a DBA. I've had various roles also in marketing and in IT. A little bit about the DevOps Institute. Really, what you will need to know is just that we are a member association, free memberships, which you can sign on and get free memberships at the DevOpsInstitute.com. You see the link here. It's really a go to learn association. We're trying to bring in a variety of folks. We have over 10,000 members. We're standing up an ambassador program. If you're interested in that, reach out to me as well. And a second important part is research, and that's really what I'm responsible for. And as part of that research, this is the second year of a research project we have done around the skills of DevOps. Now, this particular research project, as I said, it got actually kicked off by me and the CEO of DevOps Institute, Jane Grohl, who ran into each other about 2 years ago at DAS London, and we said, there's always a lot of conversation about best practices and comms and all the wonderful sessions you guys have experienced today on Kubernetes and serverless and all of those very exciting topics. But there isn't really anything around how and what is needed to actually become and be a DevOps human. What do people think out there are the critical must-have skills around this particular topic? And as DevOps has become, well, celebrated its 10-year anniversary last year, which I was part of the celebration in Ghent, which was great. But also as we are moving into the next state of DevOps, a more broader adoption, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. We were curious. So this is our second year of the report and the work we have done. And I'm really excited about this because this gave us a lot of details. Let me share with you the agenda. So we'll talk about a little bit about the skill gap, giving you the perspective of what we have seen and what we know. I'll share some examples. And then what's the state of upskilling across the survey takers? Then I'll talk you through the skill categories, the survey findings, and I have some next steps and hopefully some conclusions for you to take home in your next journey, wherever you are from a maturity or capability perspective. So, setting the stage, interesting that today we are, of course, and this is an excellent example of digital, as we've all gone, seems like within a week or two or three into the digital world immediately. But the digital business in 2020, there's supposed to be, according to some analysts, about 60% of global GDP will be digital, which is quite a lot of business turned around in a digital way. Additionally, if we look at over 70% of new value created in the economy in the next decade will be based on digital enabled platforms. And so these digital enabled platforms, independent of vertical, are going to be needed to be developed and available for business. And really, that's where you all including myself and the DevOps Institute, come in as a very critical resource. And DevOps in itself has brought us, as we all know, benefits of agility, has brought us benefits of better quality, and of course, a variety of other things, breaking down silos amongst the different teams within the IT enterprise and across and into the business. Now, the challenge here is there is a skill gap. And specifically to DevOps, there's also a skill gap, of course, in the broader economy. But what's important is that when we asked, 83% of our respondents had difficulty recruiting a suitable candidate in the past 12 months. And there were challenges around a variety of things, right? Challenges around, is it the right person who has the right skills? Is the person located in the region I needed that person to be? Those are just a few. Secondly, and this is really good news, at the same time, with the skill gap, it's causing us an additional challenge. 52% of those folks we have asked, and we had 1,260 respondents in our second year survey. Our first year survey was 1,600. But 52% are currently recruiting DevOps humans. Now, I want you to remember the word DevOps humans, because again, and you'll get that later on, the human skills as part of DevOps is something I am personally very interested in, because I've been in IT my entire life. I don't know anything else. I know how to cook, but that doesn't really feed the family. Well, it does, but not in terms of an income. But remember that the DevOps human word, because that's really a very interesting concept and is the supporting pillar of what we're talking about when we're developing the skills necessary. Now, as I said, from our survey, we found a interesting upskilling situation. Let me explain. So if you look at this slide, you can see that there are about 31% of the survey respondents which have a formal upskilling program. Some of you might be part of companies who have that. There are 20% currently developing a formal upskilling program. And when I say formal upskilling program, what that means is that there are means and ends by which you, as a DevOps individual, can actually receive training, get certification, expand your skills in the different categories I'll talk about later on. 38% don't have an upskilling program, which I found very shocking. If you add the 38 and the 20 together, that's 58. And then 7% don't even know. That is even more worrisome, because in a position, individual contributor or whatever job you have, if you don't know if your company is having an upskilling program, either maybe you already are and have developed your skills completely to the point that you don't need to, which I highly doubt, or it is a matter of there is not enough communication and not enough knowledge in the enterprise and the organization to do so, and to understand what's happening. So this is a warning, and I think one action call or call to action for you is go back and find out, do you have an upskilling program within your organization? And where does it stand, and how can you benefit from it? I think in Europe, this is a most important for us, but of course in the US, little different handled there. And if you have questions on that, happy to join on a call or in a chat sometimes in the future. Now, there are companies who do a fantastic job. Here is one. Amazon, 700 million in upskilling in 2020. It's what they promised. Now, given the situation we're in, we'll see, but still a very large commitment to upskilling Amazon's team across its different verticals and in its different capabilities. Now, please note, this is not just DevOps. This is really a variety of roles, but still a very large amount of money. Google, 1 billion in upskilling US dollars in upskilling in the future. Again, they didn't put a timeline on it, but certainly also a large amount of money. A third company, an example, which I've worked with in the past, Federal Express or FedEx, who, of course, these days very important for us all. but a company who has actually introduced a university. They call it a FedEx University, which is training and certifying a variety of roles within IT and, of course, the business relative to skilling and upskilling their employees in their workforce. So excellent examples and compliments to those companies. If you are part of one of those, fantastic. Take advantage of that. Now, yesterday, I believe in one of the sessions, one of the gentlemen's, if you had a chance to listen to that, was talking about the salary of the DevOps employee. If you do need more information, Robert Half Technology has an excellent salary guide, which is referenced in the report, which you, if you like, can download. But the best jobs in 2019 really were the DevOps jobs. So all of us will be very happy about that, because I hope all of us are somewhere in DevOps jobs. At Glassdoor, it's the number 6 globally, and Robert Half said that it's the top 5th wanted professional profession in the world, which is also very good. This is a little bit of an eye chart, but I thought I share that with you. It's from the World Economic Forum in 2020, which was held in Davos, of course. And this shows the number of opportunities available for a variety of roles associated with the type of work we all do. So you see here the DevOps engineer, the site reliability engineer, you see product owner, and you see, of course, the DevOps engineer there in a dark red. This is the number of opportunities, and it is per 10,000 new opportunities. Again, this report is available, and there is a lot more detail. But really, just in summary, to confirm to you that you are in the right job, you're in a very great position. So congratulations. But important is, what skills do you have? And what skills do you upskill and need to upskill to be relevant in the future, in the near future? So as I mentioned, we did this research report. I again have here the link. We released it on March 10. Since March 10, which is really only a couple weeks ago, we had, I think, over 1,500 downloads, so 1,500 downloads, which I'm extremely excited about, and very, very happy. Thank you to all of those, and maybe some of you have already done so. But let me go into more details about the findings. Of course, I can't share all of it, but I pulled out the most important ones, which hopefully will give you some ammunition and some details for your career. We asked a question on the journey of DevOps in terms of difficulty. Now, 52% this year said that it was a very difficult journey. This year, we actually asked them a little bit more in depth. We wanted to understand, where do lie the difficulties? Because we keep hearing that people or culture is the most difficult activity, or the most difficult thing to adopt. Well, it is actually in equal parts to people, process, and technology. And I think this is an incredible learning for all of us who are either uh, in the role, or have leadership, or are in the tool team, or have ownership around process. That it is an equal challenge across how we shape our culture. What processes do we need to automate, and what technology do we use, leveraging and using for application release optimization, CI/CD pipelines, or whatever other things are necessary to automate and leverage in the journey of DevOps. I already mentioned that a lot of people are recruiting. There are a few who have already finished their recruiting cycle. 17% don't know. Might be because they are hesitant on the DevOps journey. There is still some skepticism, and not every organization actually needs DevOps, particularly not across the entire enterprise. There could be projects, and we see that later on in the data chart relative to that, in terms of who does projects versus who does enterprise. But we're here to talk about the skills. So the first step, we needed to organize these skills in particular categories. And we talked to a lot of experts, talked to hiring people, or HR managers, or strategic growth, as they're sometimes called, on what they look for relative to the categories within DevOps. And you can see them here. There's, of course, functional knowledge, there is human skills, there is automation skills, and process skills and knowledge. That was the first step. to identify. And of course, we asked our survey participants where they rate and rank these kind of categories of skills relative to their importance. We added a few other categories, such as the specific automation tools, such as we heard a lot of fantastic tools today of Elastic, and I don't even remember them all, but there were wonderful tools mentioned. So thank you to all of the folks. We also asked about the importance of business skills and specific certifications. But here, what's important, you can see the top category of the 2020 DevOps category is really the process skill and knowledge as a must have skill, followed by, which you can see here in blue, followed by automation skills, followed by human skills, and followed by functional knowledge around areas such as network storage, infrastructure, etc., etc. Now, last year, this was the other way around. Last year, the top must have skill was around automation skills, followed by process skills, followed by human skills, and followed by functional knowledge. Now, this is very typical for new ways of doing things. And as an analyst, and I've been an analyst now almost 16 years, I have seen that typically organizations are adopting new things, be it ITSM or DevOps or SRE or whatever other things are out there in terms of frameworks or new ways of working, through um, adopting tools which are really automation capabilities and are trying to automate things. And then, second, they start thinking about what processes and what are the waste of activities we can take out relative to that. Now, as you can see, from last year to this year, this has changed. People are now starting to say, all right, we know how to automate, we've got that under control, but we really now need to think about how do we actually leverage process skills and knowledge and improve that category. I will get more details into these categories in a few minutes. Specific certifications is also quite important, and there are some critics out there about certifications. Now, you can see it's certainly a low in must have, but extremely high relative to a nice to have or an important. Now, certifications are important to certify what skills you have and continuously drive your certification to stay on top, just like anything else in technology skills or in a driver license or other skills within, for example, the uh, healthcare industry. We need to make sure that we understand how our skills measure up, and certification is the right way to do that. Now, I was curious about looking at the different roles because we actually asked, of course, we had different roles answering the survey, and I am happy to say that we have had a good balance between individual contributors, management level, C-level, contractors. We haven't had enough human resource folks answering the survey, but that's probably because those folks might talk to or connect with other surveys. But interesting here, you can see on the right hand side, all of these different roles agree that process skills are a must have skill. And again, contractors, individual contributors, management, and C level, such as CIO, CEO, CTO, all agree that that's a very critical must have skill. On the human skills or the business skills, there is some disagreement. You can see that management level at the human skills values that much higher than the others, particularly individual contributors. And that is a call to action for you that human skills is a very important thing to develop. And we'll have some more details in a little bit. Another one is business skills. Of course, a CEO understands and has the demand that their teams and the folks who are being brought into the organization are actually having business skills. But important for us to recognize is that we're not doing DevOps for DevOps sake. And I've said that over and over again over my years at Forrester and here at the DevOps Institute. DevOps is it has a reason. We're doing this to actually satisfy customer experiences or improve customer experiences in this digital age, because how our customers consume our products through software is what we're trying to improve. in speed and in quality, and of course in security. And that means you must understand the business. You must understand why is it we're doing and what are we doing relative to the activities. All right. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention before we go into the human skills. Now, another word I like you to learn and one I like you to forget. So, this used to be called soft skills. Now, there's nothing soft about soft skills because those are hard. And I think I'm quoting somebody who has written that somewhere on a blog. So, compliments to those who have come up with that. I think this we need to learn, we need to rename this to human skills because that's really what it is. It's the activities and the interactions to be a human in the different groups we are, making sure that we can actually connect with each other, et cetera, et cetera. Now, just renaming that, of course, is not going to help. But it certainly will set a priority within our own thinking and that of our leadership that the word human is important and that we all need to recognize that. Renaming it might just be the first start for us all to rethink that category, and we're able to actually push that up to our management and our C-level executives, and of course to our teammates. So let's take a look at the different human skills here. Now I'm listing only the top 10. As you can see, I have also added the differences in the different regions because we can also, and we're currently working on breaking out a report separately for all the regions. So America, which is EMEA, NAR, which is North America, and global. We also have data on Asia Pacific and Latin America. But just really to look at this, the DevOps human skills really are circled or focused on four key skills. First of all, collaboration and cooperation. You might say, okay, Eveline, this is nothing new. We knew that. But it's quite important to know that that is the majority of respondents say that that is a must have skill. The second one is interpersonal skills. So these are the skills by which we connect and work across different organizational groups and different individuals. The report itself actually has all the definitions of that if you are curious about. The third important one is problem solving. How do we solve problems in a creative way that combined with creativity allows us actually to solve them quick and in such a way that we are taking care of how we collaborate and how do we interact with others through our interpersonal skills. And then sharing and knowledge transfer, because without that, we can't really advance in whatever we're doing relative to quality, velocity, and anything else you are wanting to achieve. Now, I call this again the collaborative DevOps human, as you can see. Empathy, inclusiveness, and leadership are also very important skills, and you can see there as the top 10 skills relative to that. Now, the collaborative team, the collaborative DevOps human shapes culture. And if you're familiar with those color charts we used to have in, I think, grade school, where we matched the different colors and another color resulted in it. So, for example, yellow and red made orange, yellow and blue made green. I tried to associate what certain things are connected with, how these certain things are connected with each other. So, having empathy and personal commitment certainly shapes our interpersonal skills. Having creativity in conjunction with empathy helps us problem solving, et cetera, et cetera. And that all really bases and creates an emotional intelligence or supports the emotional intelligence of us all, which then creates trust, which then is the foundation for a collaborative culture. There's two key critical success factors to know. One, we need transformational servant leaders for that, which means those leaders need to support us in terms of a bottoms up instead of directing us. And we need to learn. We need to listen and learn by making mistakes. And we need to be allowed making mistakes instead of being punished for making mistakes. A very different perspective for many industries and for many organizations. You'll be surprised what I've seen throughout my years as an analyst. Now, functional skills, of course, also very important. So let's have a look at those. Again, I only share the top 10 with you. There are many more. Um, these functional skills, I'd like to say, I call this the hybrid product team. And you can see here security, IT operations, infrastructure knowledge are just as important as application development and design. So here is where a lot of organizations are starting to adopt job rotations. Of course, knowledge transfer and collaboration helps, but understanding key aspects of IT operations and key aspects of security practices helps us to be a much more rounded hybrid individual helping out and working on projects and in teams. And again, this I'd like to call the hybrid product team supporting the journey of DevOps. Additional things are quality assurance knowledge, testing, network knowledge, business continuity or disaster recovery, governance and compliance, and then, of course, DBs who are willing to help out on data modeling and potentially are the superheroes of the data modeling activities needed because data is important. So again, very key, critical, must-have skills of the top functional skills. Again, here, critical success factors is that we create this hybrid product team. It's a key pillar for us to be successful. These pillars are cross-functional, multi-skilled team members instead of the specialized individual. Of course, that still means you have to have some specialized skills. So don't think that you could just be a generalist, because we'll get to that in a little bit. But it really is multi skilled with relying and working with each other in this hybrid team. And most important is that the measurement is on customer value and not on the internal focus. So when we become a hybrid team, looking at the different functions and looking at it from the outside in of really what we're trying to do, what are we trying to achieve in terms of its velocity or its quality or whatever other goals you were set up to do, we are measuring that end to end from the customer value outside in, rather than saying that, well, we have deployed X lines of codes, or we have done I don't know how many releases, but unfortunately, the challenge is that our IDOps team cannot keep up with the releases because whatever, right? You get the point. So these are very critical to have cross-functional and measured on customer value delivered. Now, the process and framework skills, there's a lot of discussions about what is the right process skill to have, what are the different frameworks, and there is good arguments, good conversations around the different types of things out there. And like I said, there are pros and cons to many of those. I want to say ahead of time that there is not one way to do things relative to a framework. There are a lot of complementary things, and we need to connect and understand what is our goal so that we know what to do. But in terms of skills, here are the interesting top 10 process and framework must have skills. I feel like a little bit like on the Oscars where I'm announcing the top 10. Um, so experience with source control models and processes, of course, very important. Understanding of process flow and analysis. So those are folks who actually do understand value streams and so on. And I think we had some good sessions on value stream. Of course, the software development lifecycle. How do you go about that? And working and understanding that is key. Agile at its different levels. Experience with performance tuning and monitoring. Scrum, experience with test-driven deployment, concepts and methods, SRE, design thinking, and value stream mapping. Now, two things to point out. First of all, the performance tuning and monitoring this year grew, I believe, by 12 percentage points, which is absolutely fantastic. And I know we've had sessions from folks who have pushed the knowledge and the importance of understanding relative to your applications. What are the performance tuning capabilities? Things such as tracing were discussed, et cetera, et cetera. quite excited that finally this is a topic and a must-have skill moved up by so many points. Um, Experience with value stream mapping is the first time we have actually had this here, and it jumped immediately to one of the top 10 process skills. Now, I wanted to share with you something else which I also found extremely important. We asked about the different types of frameworks. Now, I know you could say, okay, Evelyn, DevOps is not a framework, SRE is not a framework, Agile is not a framework. All right, let's not get into the arguments. It is to some extent, new way of doing things. Let's call it that way. Here you can see the difference between 2019 and 2020 data. So in SRE, the SRE adoption jumped from 10% last year to 28% this year. Agile adoption from 76 to 81, and DevOps adoption to 66, from 66 to 74, which is fantastic. And again, this is not a or, but an and question. So many of these organizations or these individuals are doing not just one, but they're doing multiple uh, things to actually make them more successful. Technical skills. I think this is the one maybe some of you have been waiting for. So let's go look at that. What are the top 10 technical must-have skills? CI/CD toolchain skills, of course. And this is the first one. This is the first time we actually added this. We did not have this last year. Last year, we had cloud platform and the cloud environment as the top must-have skill. Of course, I could have said, duh, that's important in our modern IT organizations as a must-have skills. But the CI/CD toolchain skill as a technical skill moved immediately up to number one, followed by cloud, as I already said. The knowledge in API, understanding how we actually connect and have APIs connect the different hybrid environment and capabilities. Analytical knowledge for either understanding data coming from a variety of systems, leveraging AI ops, if that's a topic you're interested in. Experience with UI, web, and mobile. Sorry, and middle tier, of course, a very important topic. Multiple programming languages, and there are many programming languages. If you're interested, last year's report has the top 10. We didn't ask it for this year because we had no chance to add additional questions because we were wanting to make sure we get enough answers. UX design, and of course specific frameworks such as .NET and big data basic knowledge. Important to know because technical knowledge actually shapes the technology we have. If we have cloud platform knowledge, we have a faster and a better way to adopt a variety of these platforms, etc., etc. All right. Now, bear with me because I know this is the last session and all of you guys are probably ready to do something else for the day, relax, read a book, or do something, whatever enjoyment can bring to you. But last year, we talked a lot about the T-shaped individual. A T-shaped individual is an individual who has, to some extent, transformed from the I shape, a specialist, like, for example, a DBA or a .NET specialist or an AWS engineer, to more of a T-shaped who might still be an AWS engineer, but has already extended his or her knowledge in a few topics which are related. That is okay, but it's not good enough relative to this year's research. And I'm actually thinking and not thinking, I have introduced a new shape, which I call the E shape. And this is because I believe the E shape is complementary to the T shape, but makes us as DevOps humans a lot more holistic and hybrid. Let me talk you through that quickly as we saw the different skills. So the human skill is really an end-to-end, or human skills are end-to-end skills we need, and they continuously are reshaped, but we need them when we think about automation. We need them when we think about and work in our functional skills, and we need them to be part and grow our technical skills. They also, over time, help us when we experience certain things, such as we have expertise in certain human skills, and maybe we transfer those skills. We explore certain things where we are weak, and we build them out, and we execute upon them. So that's really the E of the experience in combination with the human skills. The right hand side, I already talked about it. Those are very much the vertical skills of automation, the functional skills, and the technical skills. And again, they can be very broad, should be to some extent very broad, but of course, with some kind of a specialization to your capability and, of course, your interest. And then all of that sitting on top of our framework and process skills as we make that the supporting horizontal pillar relative to all the things on the vertical line and up improving those over the years with experience. And so adding experience, the T and the I all together really creates this hybrid individual of DevOps human. And I think that's going to be the future. And for you all, that's the work you should be doing. If you're a beginner, of course, you might not have yet the experience. You might not have anything to show for on an execution because of projects you might still be working on. But if you're more advanced or intermediate, you can check this out and understand where you sit, and then develop your career path or your learning path for the future to continue. All right, we have a few minutes left, so I wanted to share with you a variety of other things which are important, which really are also supplemental detail in the report, because we had to get a feeling for who are those survey individuals we are talking to. We made sure that those folks, again, it was 1,264, I believe, who participated. Thank you again. This was a wonderful participation. But we wanted to share a few additional facts. This one is also controversial, I think. There's a lot of individuals who say, well, the DevOps engineer is not a title. Well, I am happy to say that 51% of individuals have agreed that the DevOps engineer is a title, and it's the most popular title, followed by the software engineer, DevOps consultant, CI/CD engineer, infrastructure engineer. You can read this yourself. You see, most likely, many of you, some of you have one or a multitude of these titles, maybe slightly different. What I wanted to make sure is two things to take home. First of all, the popularity of this title, the DevOps engineer or the DevOps manager, has risen from 39% as the most recently hired job title, to 51 from 19 to 20. And second, this is not a title which is firm, and it depends on your organization. So, what is the description of it depends on what state the organization, and maybe potentially in what vertical your organization is in. Should they all be the same? No, of course not. Because if you are in the advanced state, and the skills you need and the job description might be very, very different. And I had a very good conversation with Robert Half, the leading expert there, discussing this, and he says the same thing. Yes, of course, the job descriptions varies greatly when they're talking to companies who wanting to hire, but the job title of DevOps engineer is here to stay, and I think that is excellent news relative to this particular topic. I alluded to that particularly earlier relative to what is happening on the journey of DevOps. And before you go home, I wanted to share with you how organizations are actually implementing DevOps or leveraging or doing DevOps. Again, that's also contradictory or controversial. Can you do DevOps? But that's a conversation for another time. But here you see from last year to this year, 2019 is the dark blue, 2020 is the light blue. Planning stage has declined, so most likely they have moved into the execution stage. As you can see here, the project level, there is still solid project levels, the enterprise has risen from 19% to 23%, which is great. And again, I made the point, not every organization has or needs to do DevOps enterprise wide. There are reasons for DevOps projects. And again, those are separate conversations. If you want to get some discussions going on that, happy to connect with you. There are a few organizations, individuals who brought back to us that they're avoiding DevOps for multitude of reasons, and some, actually 1%, have attempted it but failed. Most likely don't know why, but I'm assuming that there are some challenges across people, process, and technology, which I know we learned. Those are the challenges. Now, I want to leave you with 3 things before you go home as a summary, besides asking the question of how are we upskilling our individuals, or how can I get upskilled or skill up, as I like to call it. Second, avoid the word soft skills and rename it to human skills. And then third, remember that the biggest difference is us people. People make the difference for a successful DevOps journey, and the individuals are, it starts really with you. So multi-skill up yourself, attend trainings, learn yourself. There is a excellent library of books to read. There are fantastic certifications, and at the same time challenge the organization to help others to follow your path relative to the journey of upskilling and learning and eliminating or closing the skill gap we have today. If you are a leader, you could be an individual and a leader by in and itself together. But if you are a designated leader, you need to become a transformational servant, meaning you really need to support a variety of aspects of a servant leader. You need to ensure that you promote a new way of working. Is that in a project is large or small? Um, Up to your company and your organization. And you need to reward and incent change, particularly in projects and groups. That really is very, very important that we do that and don't forget. If you are the organization, which is really a conglomerate of the individuals and the leaders, as organizations, we need to foster and reward learning. Us at the DevOps Institute, that's our sole existence. We want to foster a community of learning. We want to foster a community of upskilling, and that's important. And we need to shift our metrics towards value, because I see a lot of metrics and measurements which are being established where there is a variety of things being measured, but they're not leading indicators. They're actually lagging indicators. We're doing some work on metrics, and there's also some great work in the Accelerated State of DevOps report, which was out 2019. So if you need a pointer to that, let me know. Happy to share. All right. With that, again, I want to thank the team at the whole event team, the tech team. They wanted me to mention that the organizers are actually making the sessions, the recording sessions, available in the following weeks. So you should be able to get these. The tech team has been wonderful, absolutely professional, really, really good. It takes really teams to make things happen. I wanted to point out one more important thing, not because I'm loving to do marketing, because that's not my intention. But if you're interested in skill up days, we at the DevOps Institute are standing up skill up days starting in April. Every month, one skill up day. We just acquired a virtual platform. So keep our thumbs crossed that that virtual platform is working well. And every month a different topic. We have speakers. You can actually get invited as a speaker if you are interested in that, and looking forward to that. And hopefully you had a great time in these sessions over the last 2 days, with lots of learning and lots of good take-home action items. If you have any questions, I'm going to check Slido in a minute. But if you want the full report, there's a lot more details in there. Happy to you can download it from the devopsinstitute.com. if you have specific questions, challenges around things you feel like nobody else can answer, or you just want to reach out, say hi. I'm on both Twitter and here's my email address. Happy to help you, happy to come to your company and present if you want to. This is really very passionate for me as an analyst and a research director. And with that, I think this is the last session. Enjoy, and hopefully we'll see everybody in real time in this event next year. Let me go quickly to my screen here and see if there are any questions. Oh boy, there are. Do you see us coming to square-shaped breadth of knowledge someday? Not sure what square-shaped breadth of knowledge means. That might be, this is a good idea. This might be in the next report. We're preparing for 2021. Whoever, Alex, if you want to reach out, I'd love to get more detail relative to this. You have my email. James is asking, in your opinion, what kind of future will be for DevOps during this world crisis? Oh boy, excellent. Excuse me. Just the word coronavirus makes me cough, but I don't have it, at least not that I know. I do think the challenges we're seeing today is really highlighting two things. One, digital is important, and all of us who are in the space of DevOps and who are working on software and releases and technology, we have an awesome job ahead of us. So this is really going to be very exciting, and I'm very excited to be in this space. I think there is a lot for us to do in terms of in regards to the the coronavirus collaboration. You've seen that. What would you suggest to invest in for 2020 in regards to DevOps tools? Excellent question. 2021, of course. Why 2021? Not sure, but today, CI/CD tools and platforms are very, very important for automation. Of course, there's a variety of other tools out there which fall into this category of DevOps platforms and DevOps tools. So I've done research around application release optimization, CI/CD tools, AI ops. There are testing tools. I mean, there's a really a large onset of tools. It's very difficult to say because it's really hard not knowing where you stand relative to your automation journey. Assessing the automation journey relative to collaboration, I think, is the first one. Whatever collaboration tools you're using so that you can get people on the right uh, collaborating together is important. Second, I think shifting left, meaning testing and application performance management need to be shift left towards the application development lifecycle further up so that we in operations don't have so many challenges. I think those are the other two I would think of at this point in time. Let's see what else we have here in terms of questions. Let me scroll down. Investment, we talked about that. Future world crisis in DevOps. All right, I think that is it. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out. Pleasure to be here. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as we say, stay safe and be well. Thank you very much.